Hello, Reed. Good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as we discuss Christian Eriksen's injury blow. An update coming in from Erik ten Hag. We'll also be looking at what Manchester United can do in the next 2 days of this transfer window because they have to do something. We're in a very, very precarious position now where Erik ten Hag's fantastic work this season could be dependent on the roll of a dice. It could be all about luck on how many players he's going to get injured over the next few weeks and months. Also, some interesting updates coming out from Harry Maguire, Casemiro, and obviously the general situation with Manchester United. Also, a couple of other things I want to talk about as well. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I was just about to go late and I was just about to go live. And on social media, somebody I follow was just replying to what I would describe as a prat who's trying to say that the Reading goal yesterday was De Gea's fault because he's got to come and clear everybody else and catch it. You get agendas and you get stupidity. I don't mind people having a pop at David De Gea for his distribution, but coming for that cross yesterday, I mean, this is the dangerous side of social media because people can just put shit out there and people will believe it. Which some people might say is ironic from myself, but it's a news show. We do try and bring the news. But there is absolutely, you watch that cross back, never for 1 second did I think it was De Gea's fault. Like the trajectory of the cross is not high enough for a start. A keeper comes for a cross when it's quite high, it's hanging up there and they'll come for it. Not at that pace, not at that trajectory. It's just bad defending. It's bad defending from the outfield players, that goal. Anyway, let's get into straight the most important bit. You may be aware, you may not be aware. We weren't aware of it when I did my match reaction yesterday. Rems says that I hope Eriksen's not out for too long. So we have an update on it. He did leave the ground, Old Trafford, last night on crutches. That's not the update. Erik ten Hag has given his update and said we'll have to wait and see how it goes. We certainly can't determine what the injury is until early this week because you've got to give 24 to 48 hours for the swelling to come down, etc. There's pros and cons about this, but ultimately there's a bigger picture. We should be making signings. There are players that we could have brought in that would really help us. Weston McKennie is going to Leeds. I know not a lot of people think he's brilliant, but I think he'd be a good player to bring in. He's going on loan to Leeds for 1.3 million euros with an option to buy. Nottingham Forest made a late entry to try and get him, but he's going to Leeds on loan. I mean, why would you, 2 million euros for Weston McKennie? I mean, why would you just not do that? Whether it works or not, he's definitely better than McTominay. So why would you just not do that? And then suddenly the pressure's off because if we lose Fred or Casemiro now, where are we? But anyway, let's focus on Eriksen, then we can focus on the transfer window. So Christian Eriksen, the situation is this. I suppose you've got to delve into, ankle injuries. It's funny because I've been following the NFL because the playoffs are going to happen. And Patrick Mahomes, who's a quarterback, he actually had a high ankle sprain last weekend. And he's been the subject of daily updates in the NFL world as to whether he's going to play tonight and how restricted he's going to be. That's to play in a Super Bowl, so obviously they're going to do everything they can to get him to play. This is Christian Eriksen when we're playing every 3 days intensely. It's not like playing once a week to play in a World Cup final. This is there's no point in playing Eriksen with a taking a risk on him because there's another game 3 days later. That's what I'm trying to say. So when it comes to ankle injuries, I think we'll be very lucky if he's not back for minimum 2 weeks. I've seen a lot of people this morning say that Eriksen's injury record over the last 10 years is fantastic. And he's very similar to Bruno Eriksen, hardly ever injured over the last 10 years. And in fact, I think his biggest absence was because of the pacemaker and the heart incident that he had in the Euros. Very rarely gets injured. Injury record is very, very good for Eriksen. But when you catch an injury like that, it doesn't matter about how quick you recover or anything like that. He's got an ankle injury, and ankle injuries are pretty consistent to read. The tackle by Andy Carroll, by the way, was bad. When I saw it, I said, that's not dissimilar to what happened to Donny. Those types of tackles are what injure players. And lo and behold, we have. He wraps his leg around him, and Eriksen's not expecting it, and he's got his legs, like Donny did, his leg is firmly in the ground. So if you get caught with your leg in the air and someone hits you like that, your leg's in the air, so there's movement. So you're never going to get as big an impact. But if you've got your leg planted and someone comes through you like that with a scissor tackle, you're in trouble because all your body weight's on it and then you've got another weight moving it. So that leads to ligament, sprains, etc. So it was a bad tackle, and it was a disgrace by the referee that he didn't book him, because Andy Carroll was a disgrace yesterday in the second half. He could have I say he could have injured somebody, he did. It should have been a yellow card. It was a bad tackle, and it looked a bad tackle, and for some reason it was sort of like brushed over. So first of all, it's a bad tackle. It's not. There's nothing Christian Eriksen can do about that. There's nothing Ten Hag can do about that. I've seen a lot of people saying this is why he should have rotated. I can't disagree with that. I would have rotated Eriksen. Most of you would have rotated Eriksen, and now he's injured. Ben Foster said this on Monday. The problem is when you've got all these games, most injuries happen in games. So the more games you play, the more the increase in injury. But Ten Hag picks the team. He's the manager. We have to back him. And at the end of the day, tackles like that shouldn't be in football. So Eriksen hasn't picked up an injury because of Ten Hag overplaying him. It's not a fatigue injury. He's picked up an injury because of a bad tackle that could have happened if he'd been rested anyway. In the previous game, he still gets the injury. So it's bad luck. Kwaku says he shouldn't have started, but for me, it's the tackle. Anyway, what's the prognosis? What do we do from here? What do we do about transfers? So the swelling's got to go down. If you look at ankle injuries, 2 weeks. If it's a minor sprain, we might get away with a week, but he won't play against Forest. He probably won't play against Palace. Probably 2 weeks, which puts him out of Forest, Palace, Leeds. Puts him out of the next 4 games. That's if it's minor. If it's ligament damage, double it, and maybe another 2 weeks on that. If it's a stress fracture or something like that, who knows? So it's a worry. It's a really big worry, and you know, for many of us, it's not a surprise. We've spoken about this. We saw John Stones go down the other day. There's another player from the World Cup who we lost a couple of days ago as well to injury. Eriksen's another player who played in the World Cup and has been playing pretty much since the start of August. These injuries are going to happen, but unfortunately the United squad cannot carry it. Now, I would remind the United board that we are still in the FA Cup, we're still in the Carabao Cup, we're in the top 4 race, and we're still in the Europa League. This team is performing and this manager is delivering. What are you doing? Like Leeds, Nottingham Forest, they're bringing players in, as well as our big rivals, and you're sat there going, you can have Wout Weghorst. I mean, come on. You've got to go and do something. 3 years ago, McTominay and Pogba were injured. They went and bought Bruno Fernandes, and we got top 4. 3 years later, we've got a better manager. We're in a better position. Donny van de Beek's out for the season. Eriksen's out for God knows how long. You've got to act. You should have acted 3 or 4 weeks ago. You cannot just leave this situation. This season is in danger of collapsing because you didn't do anything in January. And Ten Hag is publicly out there saying, get me players. And you've got to go and do it. This is stubbornness from the Glazers. This is an up yours to the fans. This is absolutely disgraceful because I get people saying to me, well, it's just a byproduct of the club being sold. You've just got to put up with it. No, this is absolute bury your head in the sand naivety. It is a nonsense. The club can buy players. The club can loan players. They always could. They chose not to because I believe the Glazers have gone up yours to United fans and have basically said, they've been trying to force us out for years. We're going to make a load of money. And I tell you what, on the way out, screw them. We're not going to give them any money. We're not going to help them out. Fuck them, basically. And I think that in reality, that is not the behaviour of a club that should be trying to sell. If I'm trying to sell something, I'm going to wash the car. You know, I'm going to clean and decorate the house. United have just left the car, put a Ferrari on the drive and left it. It needs new tyres. It's muddy. They've made no effort. That's not how you sell a club. This is absolute downing tools from the Glazers, and it's not acceptable. It is not an excuse to say that the club's for sale, so we can't buy players. That is not an excuse. If anything, you should be bringing players in to make the club more valuable and attractive. It's a bloody disgrace. And it really does frustrate me because I feel that Ten Hag has exceeded expectations. Even though most of us wanted him and we thought he would be the right man, he has exceeded expectations, and now he's in a position where players are dropping like flies and will continue to do so. I mean, look at January. It is not over. January is not over yet. Eriksen, bad injury. Donny, season ender. Delot, injured. Martial, injured. That's 4 players. Arguably, you would start them all in our best side. So we've lost four first-team players in a month. And we've got 4 more months to go of players getting more and more tired and injury risk. It's not acceptable. It is not acceptable. And the club should be doing something. And the honest answer is, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? This is where Sancho needs to come into the squad, says Nicholas. Yeah, but Sancho's not a midfielder, mate. He's not a midfielder. He's not a centre-forward. He's a winger. We're stacked on the wing. I want Sancho back, but we're actually stacked in that position. Rashford, Antony, Palestri, Garnacho, even Elanga. We are stacked. I want Sancho back, I really do. But this myth that he can play as a number 10, he doesn't track back as a winger. How's he going to play as a number 10? You've got to be one of the fittest players on the pitch, and he certainly can't play centre mid. So, look, we all can't wait for Sancho to come back, but get with it, mate. Have a cup of coffee, have a pint, wake up. Sancho doesn't solve this problem that we have at the moment. And what's going to happen again, everybody? Wakey, wakey. You know what's going to happen. Desperation at the end of a transfer window. We saw it with Antony and Casemiro. Those deals should have been done in June. We do them at the end, we're desperate. And it must be so frustrating. And I think Ten Hag just must wake up in the morning and think, look, the end is in sight. At some point, these lot are going to go and I'm going to get competent owners and I've just got to try and battle on with what I've got. Nak, welcome to the thank you very much for the super chat. So look, what can we do? What can we do in that midfield at the moment? Because if Eriksen's out for 2 weeks or a month or worse, your midfield is basically Casemiro, Fred and Bruno, and McTominay's backing up every position with Mainu. That's it. We're playing games every 3 days, 4 days, whatever. And our starting midfield is our only midfield. It will be Casemiro, Fred and Bruno. And that's it. There is no backup for any of those players. I mean, I think the renaissance of Fred is because he's not playing with McTominay. I mean, Casemiro is going to make everybody better, but Casemiro makes Fred better because it gives him the freedom to get involved. He hasn't got to worry about McTominay's defensive deficiencies. So, yeah, it's terrifying. Games are won and lost in the midfield. If Eriksen's out for any period of time, it's Casemiro, Fred and Bruno, and then we're falling off a cliff. Because Mainu's not ready, he's a youngster. And McTominay, well, look, whatever you think about McTominay, it's a drop-off, isn't it? So they've got to do something. And the fact is, they've been looking to bring in an attacking midfielder. That's what they've been looking to do. They've been looking to bring an attacking midfielder in. We need a midfielder. Is it any idea to have a forward when forwards in United don't get provided with many chances, says Simon? Look, PJ's right. I think the Glazers are being spiteful. I think this is pure spite. They want out, and they've just said we're not spending any more money. It's very, very clear. And as I said, that is not necessary. That is not necessary. FSG are looking to sell. They bought Gakpo. You can do it. I agree. There's probably financial issues, but that is complete. Why have we still got a CEO and a director of football? If we've got no money because we've spent it all and we're in trouble in relation to financial fair play, why is Murta and Arnold not been sacked? Why are they being, some journalists are saying they're doing a good job? The bottom line is the Glazers are screwing us over because of the fans. That's what it's all about. It's one final little do us over, isn't it, really? Because, I mean, it's pitiful that Erik Ten Hag's January transfer budget is €3 million. I mean, that's basically what it's cost us to get Weghorst. €3 million. It's the transfer budget of a championship side. It's a bloody disgrace. But you know what? It wouldn't be so bad. I mean, it would still be a disgrace, but it wouldn't be so bad if we didn't have the problems that we've got. Now, look, let's go back to the start of August. Predictions about where Man United were going to finish this season. I said, I think we'll struggle to get top four because I don't think we've got the squad in what is going to be a very demanding season. When we can put our strongest 11 out, we can beat anybody. And we've proven that. We beat Man City a couple of weeks ago. When we put our best team out and it's fit, we can beat anybody. But unfortunately, success breeds games. More games means more injuries, means more tiredness. And you can't survive with that squad when you're losing your starting striker, your starting number 8, your starting right back, your backup number 10. You can't. And I don't want to say this, but I will. If we lose Varane, Casemiro, Martinez, Bruno or Rashford for any period of time, and I'm talking even a month, I think the season's done. You can't lose Rashford, you can't lose Bruno, you can't lose Casemiro, and you can't lose one of Varane or Martinez. It would just be, the load will be too big. People will say, well, if you lose Martinez, you can play Luke Shaw again, but that means you've got to play Martinez, Malacia every game at left back as well. There's no rotation. it's not just about, well, if you lose this player, we can play Fred instead of Eriksen, but he can't play every 3 days for 90 minutes. You've lost your rotation there, haven't you? The squad is ridiculously weak. We need a bit of luck. We need a bit of luck with this Eriksen injury, but more importantly, we need the club to act now, because it's a warning sign. Even if Eriksen's only out for 2 weeks, it's a warning sign, because there'll be another one. There'll be another tackle on someone else's ankle. There'll be another hamstring pull. There'll be something in the next. I'll guarantee you now, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, by the second leg of Barcelona, I guarantee we've lost at least one more player to injury for a month. There'll be somebody who goes out with something in the. Well, it's inevitable, because by the time we play Barcelona second leg in about 3 weeks, we've got to play Forest, Palace, Leeds, Barcelona, I think Leicester, Barcelona. We've got 7 games in 3 weeks. I guarantee we're going to lose somebody else. So even if we get lucky with the Eriksen injury, we'll still lose someone else. This club's got 2 days, and let's put it as it is. This club has got 2 days to rescue the season. That's my opinion. The season is absolutely fantastic at the moment, but I look at it, 2 days, transfer window closes, February the 1st, you've got February, March, April, May. You've got 4 months of intense football with this squad that we've got that's already depleted. You've got 2 days to rescue the season. If they don't, we will crumble under pressure of losing players and fatigue, is my opinion. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But do you want to take that risk? It's not about being right or wrong. I'm saying the season is in jeopardy and is going to crumble away due to the amount of players, games we've got, and the lack of options we've got. Somebody might say, you don't know that, we might be fine. Okay, let's play the game then. Because once the transfer window's closed, you can't do anything about it. Do you want to go with my theory, or do you want to take a risk? If you want to take a risk and it all goes wrong, I'm going to be sat there with everyone else saying, "I told you so." Or do you want to cover that risk off by actually doing something in the next 2 days? And you're only going to do loan deals anyway, so it's not like you're going to spend 100 million quid. Thanks for the content, Mark, helping me out to cope with the pain from tooth extraction. Says Ashir, tooth extraction is absolutely painful. It's like extracting the glazes from your club, isn't it? Anyway, I suppose I must just come in at this point and say I don't know what was wrong with McTominay yesterday, Mahad. He wasn't on the bench. But look, I suppose the big question is, what can you do? What are the options for Manchester United? This down to the board having no spine. They won't back Erik ten Hag and go to the Glazers to demand the bare essentials. Board out too. It's ridiculous, as Mike Calvert. Well, this is it. This is it, Mike. This has always been my problem with Richard Arnold or Ed Woodward or John Murtaugh or anybody else like that. You'll get articles saying it's not their fault. They're restricted by the Glazers. But if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. If you're a director of football at Man United and you know you need to buy players and the Glazers are saying no, you don't just sit there and go, "Oh, okay." You know, you put something out there publicly. Ten Hag's done it. He did it on Friday. If I was in charge, I'd be out there getting players because that's what we should be doing. Has he been sacked? No. Are people going, "That's my manager"? Yes. But what does the director of football at this football club do? What does the CEO at this football club do? Maybe it is frustrating. Maybe they wish we did have money. But they ask for it, they say no, and they just go, "Yeah, we'll toe the party line." That's not what the sort of people we need at Manchester United. They should be kicking up a fuss, because you might get the sack, but you can easily put your story out there. Like, that's not doing your job. "We need this, you're not having it." Okay. See you later. Do you want a coffee? I'm off to Costa. Do you want a coffee? That's not good enough. And some people in the media think it is. They're doing a good job in restricted circumstances. Imagine what they'd do if they had people who wanted to spend money. Well, they'd still be yes men. They're not the vigorous testers of their seniors that we need. Hi Mark, what's your opinion on Wan-Bissaka? I feel like more squad players should take him as an example. Absolutely, T, absolutely. So 2 days to go. What should we do in this transfer window? What can we do? Well, I think we've missed an opportunity. Manchester United says, let's go and get Tielemans now. I hear you. I hear you. A lot of people are saying go and get Tielemans, so we'll start off with him. The issue with Tielemans is he's way out of our budget. He's way out of our budget. He is impossible, I think, to do, because... And look, sometimes United's desperation makes the impossible possible, but he is not possible to do because we have got the Glazers aren't going to give any money. So, we spent 2 weeks negotiating a €3 million deal for Weghorst on loan from Burnley. How the hell are we going to sign Tielemans in 2 days from a club that doesn't want to sell him, who's in a relegation battle? And how the hell are you going to get a player that knows in the summer he's basically going to be a multi-millionaire because he's free? That I just don't see how that happens. I really, really don't. Rabiot is now fit at Juventus, but again, he is out of contract in the summer, so he's in the same situation as Tielemans. Why would he want to come to Manchester United on loan when he can be free in the summer? And why would Juventus let him go on loan when they'd be better off using him? So there's no advantage to Leicester letting us have Tielemans unless we buy him, which we can't afford to do, and there's no advantage for Juventus letting us have Rabiot unless we buy him now and they get some money for him. And if we try and buy them now, they're going to want stupid wages because they know in the summer they're going to be free. I don't know whether I explained that properly, but basically you can't loan Tielemans or Rabiot because they're out of contract in the summer. So there's no benefit to Leicester or Juventus other than saving wages, but they will say, give us some money for him now and we'll take him. But then the player will go, I'm not going to you in January because you're giving money to Leicester that could be coming to me. So I don't see Tielemans or Rabiot as I mean, I wouldn't mind either of them, but I don't see them as an option. Gravenberch would be lovely from Bayern Munich, but apparently they've said no. He'd be perfect because he's played under Ten Hag. And as a loan deal, I think it benefits Bayern Munich and Man United, but apparently that can't be done. Casido is perfect. A year ago, he said his dream is to play for Man United, but people are bidding over 60 million, so there's absolutely no chance of that happening either. And I think that realistically, we've probably missed the player that we could have gone for, which was Weston McKennie pisses me off because I don't mind the player. I think he's reasonably good. I would put him in the sort of Fred category. I think he's around that sort of level. Is he a long-term solution for Manchester United? Well, his age profile suggests that he could be. But as a loan deal until the summer, which is what Leeds have secured, I mean, this is absolutely golden ticket. Weston McKennie on a loan deal till the summer for a couple of €1 million. Well, that was the deal to do. And we've snoozed on it. You know why we snoozed on it? Because when Weston McKennie was agreeing his deal to Leeds, Christian Eriksen didn't have an ankle injury. And United are just thick. They're thick. They're sat there going, we don't need another midfielder because we've got one. But they've not acknowledged that one tackle can change this season. So someone like that would be perfect. There's got to be another Weston McKennie out there. I mean, there has to be. Europe's a big place. There's got to be a player of that level somewhere that Manchester United can bring in on a loan to help the squad. We're not going to get a Casido, we're not going to get a Rabiot, and we're not going to get a Tielemans because those three players are players that you would bring in and look to the future for. We need somebody to come in for 6 months. We need a Weghorst in the midfield. That is what we need. And I hope Man United can find one. But, as I said on Friday, Ten Hag, the fans, everybody knows United need to bring a midfielder in. But absolutely nobody's got a bloody clue who it could be. What about Isco? Imagine Isco had good chemistry with Benjamin. You do realise Isco's shit. I keep hearing the name Isco. Isco was at Valencia or was it Sevilla? And they terminated his contract because he's crap. Does he sound like the sort of player that Man United need at the moment? I mean, look, desperate times, desperate measures, but he's not the Isco he was at. You may as well, Jake's right. You may as well bring back Dele Alli. At least he's played in the Prem. No, there's got to be better options than that. We may as well get Danny Drinkwater. He's a free agent as well. Beggars can't be choosers, says Sam. But look, there's got to be something out there. People are chucking names like Kessie and Renato Sanchez. I don't know their situations, but there's got Zaniola's been mentioned there. Says Collins as well. I mean, he nearly went to Bournemouth, but I think that was for a permanent deal. There has to be options out there, and United need to find them because we are in big trouble. I mean, if you've just tuned in late, the update on Eriksen is that they can't scan his ankle for a couple of days because they need the swelling to go down. But you don't go off on crutches and then play against Forest on Wednesday. I don't think you go off on crutches and play against Crystal Palace next Saturday. I think he's out for 2 weeks, and that's if it's a minor injury. If it's anything serious, you could be talking months. if it's a bad strain, you could be talking a month. I think for Eriksen, the focus has to be, will he be back for the Barcelona game? Ousmane Dembele, that was the other one. He got injured at the weekend as well. So in 2 days, we've lost John Stones, Ousmane Dembele and Eriksen. And this is going to keep happening this season for everybody. And United aren't prepared for it. We're not. The players might need to come out publicly with the lacklustre approach from the board, and then only, I suppose, the Glazers might consider some urgency, says Kiselay. And I'd love Gravenberch, Mark, keeping my most ideal, says JT. I'd love Gravenberch as well. I really would, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look, maybe the obvious area is going to be the Eredivisie again, which I know will frustrate some journalists, but, you know. Robert McCormack says we lost Delo against Charlton and Eriksen against Reading. And I think I know what your point is, Robert, and I'm sure some people will agree. You're losing first-team players at home to crap teams in the FA Cup. I know what Ten Hag said. He said, you know, we've got to put a strong team out in the FA Cup. We've got to put a strong team out in the Cup. But that's probably a little bit of naivety. And I saw a lot of people talking about this last night. I'll always back Ten Hag, and he can do what he wants. And Ricky was very excited about it. But there is a balance. You know, you don't have to put your strongest team out in FA Cup home games against lower league sides. That is the perfect time to rotate. You wouldn't see Pep Guardiola putting out his strongest Man City side against Reading at home. He would make changes. But it's been done. And as I would say, in defence of Ten Hag, and you know I'll always try and defend him, in defence of Ten Hag, you could have rested Eriksen in the Forest game, played him in the Reading game, and that tackle still happens. You could play him in the next game, and that tackle still happens. So the injury wasn't because we've been overplaying Eriksen. He's not pulled his hamstring. You know, it's not a thigh strain or anything like that. That tackle happens on the opening day of the season, and he's out. That tackle happens when you've rested him for 2 days, and he's out. The tackle was horrendous. I'm disgusted with the refereeing yesterday. I thought it was absolute. You know, I know we've won the game comfortably, but let's just take a second. The officiating yesterday was a disgrace. I thought the VAR decision was bang out of order. I know Paul Ince was moaning about a lot of things that went against Reading. Maybe he was right, maybe he was wrong. But that tackle by Andy Carroll was a disgrace. It was from behind. It was a scissor tackle. It was, technically I think he could have given a red, but he should have got a yellow. Why not get Basuma? He's out of favour at Spurs. Premier League club's not going to help us out, Manchester. They're in a race for top four. Andy Carroll, honestly, says Daniel Kirk. It was a disgusting tackle. It really, really was. Anyway, let's go to some reaction from last night. I've got a few quotes I want to talk to you about. Erik Ten Hag says, on the busy run of games, I'm not complaining. The schedule is as it is. You have to deal with it. The players like to play, and you can build a good team when you play often. No comments. I'm not going to say anything because I know what the chat's going to say. I think Erik Ten Hag is a mistake. I just want to back the manager, so I'm not going to say anything. But obviously, we've just lost Eriksen, so the more games you play, the more risk of injury. You can't build a good team when you're losing first-team players every couple of weeks. But he's putting a positive spin on it, of course. Harry Maguire spoke after the game. I thought this was quite interesting. Now, I think I gave Harry Maguire a 6 yesterday. I thought it was an average performance. I thought there was a few performances that were good, and there was a few performances that were okay. I thought Harry Maguire was okay. As I said, I do sympathise with this situation. He says, I'm 29, I haven't really been in this position, not starting regularly in my career, and I don't want to get used to it, but it's part and parcel of football. You can't argue with that. This is why, for me, the next 4 months for Harry Maguire are absolutely essential. And if I was Harry Maguire, I'd be speaking to my agent, trying to find a club for the summer, because I don't see anything different happening for him under Ten Hag. I don't see. And you could almost throw Lindelof into this category, but I just don't see how he becomes a first-team player at Manchester United. Inter are looking at Lindelof, says Leroy. Well, I saw his link to Skriniar, which makes no sense. But look, Harry Maguire did okay last night. Some would say he was rubbish. Some people would say he did quite good. I thought he did okay. I don't think it was anything to, criticise. But okay is not good enough when you've got Varane and Martinez. And even Luke Shaw at centre-back stands out. Lindelof the other night had a really good game. I think if you look at Maguire's performance last night, it was nowhere near as good as Lindelof against Forest. It was nowhere near as good as Luke Shaw at left-sided centre-back. And it's nowhere near Varane and Martinez. So, considering he hasn't played for 2.5 weeks, he's put the 5th best centre-back performance in. Lindelof against Forest was brilliant. Luke Shaw's been brilliant at left-sided centre-back. And we know about Martinez and Varane. And that's the problem Maguire's got. People don't need to criticise his speed or his weaknesses or his strengths. The problem that Harry's got is, it's not like if you're someone like, I don't know, Rudiger, who's been out for a couple of months and you come back from injury and you've lost your place, and then he gets a run out and you go, God, he's going to be knocking on the door. He's not knocking on the door for a first team place, is he? That's the problem he's got. Doesn't matter whether people think he's a good player or not. He's not knocking on the door for a first team place. So I think that that is the big major issue that he's got at the moment, and I don't see that changing. Varane gets injured, maybe he starts games for United, but he'll still have the issue that he doesn't have the attributes that help how we play as a back four. The mobility is a problem, isn't it? So I think, look, the writing on the wall might be there for Maguire, but I do empathise with it. If he in his whole career, if he's never been a bench player, it must be massively frustrating, and he's the captain of the team. So, look, all he can do is wait for opportunities. And obviously, they probably are going to come. I mean, if I was Harry Maguire, I'd be sat there going, I will start big games for United. I might start against Barcelona. Because look at what happened with Eriksen last night. Look what's happened with Dalot. I mean, if I was Harry Maguire, I'd be sat there going, well, Dalot's been out for a month, right back. Eriksen's going to be out for a while now, midfield. Martial's out, striker. There's 2 centre-backs. How long until one of them are out? And then that's my chance. So I think he will get chances, but whether when he gets that chance, he's still here next year, I think it depends on budgets, because I don't think he suits the way that Ten Hag wants to play. What signings do you think will make United win the league next year, says Karan? Well, I've said it before, I say it again. We need a striker, we need a world-class midfielder, and I think we need another centre-back. We need a centre-back that can play on the right side of centre-back like Varane does, and we haven't got one. Luke Shaw can do the job instead of Martinez. We've seen that. Lindelof's a capable centre-back cover, but I think you need a really good centre-back to sort of start challenging Varane, really. We haven't got that. All of this shows how little the Glazers cared about United. Now that they have publicly announced the sale of the club, they have no urgency to spend a dime, says Leox. Yeah, and I think as well, it's always worth reminding people that the lack of spending in the January transfer window is an absolute disgrace, and we know that. But also, there are some fans who are like, oh, I'm not really bothered about us not spending any money because they're going to go. And I'm like, there's an analogy for people like that, and it's not a very good one, and it's not a very kind one, because they're acting like the sale process is normal behaviour, and it's not. And I wish people would call it out. I wish people, credible journalists would call it out. This sale of Manchester United is not normal behaviour. It is completely selfish, and is in fact sabotage behaviour, because you should still be bringing players in January because you want to make your club more valuable. So that should still be happening. That's one thing. And second of all, it's an absolute disgrace that the sale of Man United has encompassed most of our season. They announced the sale in November. They won't do the sale until about March. So all the way through the critical part of this season and a transfer window, nothing is happening because the Glazers are rubbing their hands together going, we're up for sale. Who's interested? Ooh, 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 ooh. It's like eating a box of Rebels, ooh, Malteser, ooh, caramel, ooh, coffee. They're assessing their options, and then it's like, who wants to bid? Put your bid in a month, and then it's like, who wants to bid a little bit more? It's completely selfish. If they cared about the football club, what they would do is, they would get this sale done quicker at a better time, but they do it quicker. Like, the longer this deal takes, the worse it is for United. There's no reason that this club shouldn't have been sold by now. If they cared about the club, they could have got this done a lot quicker than they have. They announced it was for sale in November. We're not even at a bidding process until the end of Feb. A 3-month bidding process. The whole sale is completely selfish sabotage from the Glazers. They've messed up the January transfer window and they're elongating the sale. And why? Because it's all about money. All they want is the biggest bid. They don't care about the football club. They don't care about the long-term future of the football club or the short-term. They've washed their hands of it. All they're bothered about is making the 6 billion. That's it. So it should get called out because this sale process is completely selfish. There is no aspect that benefits Manchester United at all. The only benefit for us is when the new owners walk in the door and tell us what they want to do. Because the Glazers have basically said, we don't give a shit. You're not having any money in January and we will take as long as we want to get the money we want. But, it's almost gone quiet on the Glazers because, they'll be gone at some point. It's possibly the worst stage of their ownership because the club is handbraked. We can't move forward. Chelsea are buying players, Arsenal are buying players, Liverpool are buying players, Spurs are buying players. Everybody's doing something in January and we're doing nothing. The handbrake is on. And how long is that going to be on for? Even elite managers make small mistakes. Even Sir Alex Ten Hag has only been here 6 months and is maybe still learning, says Daniel. Hey, I said that last night, Daniel. You're absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. The Ten Hag will make mistakes. I don't know what those mistakes will be, but he will make mistakes. CAI says, don't forget how much they spent last summer. Do you want me to answer to that? Or do you want me to answer that? Or do you want me to completely own you? What are you talking about, mate? Did you wake up and choose stupidity? What are you talking about? We spent money last summer. So I'll come back at you this in a very simple way. We'll aim it at 6-year-olds, right? This time last year, when Ralph Rangnick said, this club needs a whole new team, and all of you agreed with it, at what point did you think £200 million was enough to turn things round? I mean, what class of idiot are you? Because there's two things. First of all, we didn't spend £200 million last summer. We spent 150, but we overspent by 50. And anybody with a brain cell knows that to rebuild Man United, you don't do it in one window with 200 million quid. You do it in 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 transfer windows to rebuild what Rangnick was talking about. That club, from when Rangnick said it, needed at least £500 million spending on it. So your 200 million shite from last summer, you spent 200 million in the summer. It was never going to be enough because, and here's the clue, it's a rebuild. It's a rebuild. You can't rebuild a club on 200 million quid, especially when you spent 200 million on 150 million. So look, there's a lot of work to be done at Manchester United, and you can't stand still. I mean, look at Arteta. Arteta and Arsenal are the blueprint. Did they stop spending after the first summer? No, they kept spending. They kept bringing players in. They keep bringing players in. They're trying to spend 100 million in January. The blueprint's there. You get these rival fans who try and come and wind you up, but they'll support Chelsea. They'll support Liverpool. They'll support Arsenal. They'll support Man City. They'll support Spurs. And every one of those clubs, in differing ways, continue to spend money. Every transfer window. Might not be as much as they like, but every transfer window they bring a player in. Liverpool. Even Liverpool. Diaz last January. Your summer business. Nunez. January. Gakpo. Yes, you need more, but it's sustained. It's consistent spending. That's how you rebuild a team. I agree Liverpool need to do more of it, and I agree Chelsea do way more of it. But Arsenal, it's consistent. It's consistent. What United do is they spend a lot of money in the summer and go, we don't like the January transfer window. It's idiotic. It's idiotic. Anyway, there was a couple of other quotes I wanted to bring in. Harry Maguire on not starting as many games. I've looked after myself. It was 2.5 weeks since my last start. I've been working hard in training, and when I get the opportunity, I need to take it. I'm ready when my chance comes. He also said that Casemiro has improved the team, the morale and the performance. I think he's improved the leadership as well. He's done what he was brought in to do. He's a phenomenal player. You don't win what he's won without being a top player. And look, even Harry Maguire can see it. As the captain of the club, the real captain of the club is Casemiro. I mean, I think I said it last night. What are the realistic transfer sales for the summer, says T? I've got no idea, mate. I don't even know who's going to own the club, so I don't know what's realistic in the summer because it depends on what budget's available. But I said it last night after I'd done the match reaction. I think I tweeted it. we wouldn't have Casemiro if Rabiot hadn't been so greedy. Like, that was the player we were going for. If we'd have got Rabiot, we wouldn't have got Casemiro. And Rabiot's a decent player. He showed that in the World Cup. But I'm telling you now, if we'd have bought Rabiot and not got Casemiro, we'd be at least 10 points worse off in the Prem. At least. I can't put a price on what Casemiro is. I'd also say, if we'd got De Jong instead of Casemiro, where's the defensive cover? I think we'd be 10 points worse off as well. It's not even that Rabiot or De Jong are bad players. Some people might say De Jong's a better footballer, but it would have been worse. And I know, Marsha says Rabiot's not a CDM. Didn't say he was a CDM, mate. I'm telling you, Frankie De Jong's not a CDM. We would not have got Casemiro if we'd got De Jong, and we would not have got Casemiro if we'd got Rabiot. The money wasn't there to go and get both. So what the plan would have been with the midfield, I don't know. But we chased Frankie De Jong all summer. It was Frankie De Jong that we wanted. We wouldn't have got Casemiro. So build your midfield on that, because I don't think Frankie De Jong's a CDM either. He has been absolutely the signing of the summer. Like, I didn't think he would be, but he is the signing of the summer. I had fears about spending that money on him. I had fears about the wage, and that was because it was desperate. But he actually is a desperate signing that has been absolutely brilliant. And it was desperate because it was at the end of the window, let's be honest. We were trying to get De Jong. We'd just been for Rabiot. We should have been going for Casemiro as the first choice. I don't know why we didn't, but I'm bloody glad that we ended up with the third choice, because Rashford's been brilliant. I think a lot of players have been brilliant, but he is just, you take him out that team and I just don't know where we'd be. He is absolutely incredible. And every game he starts, I think we beat Arsenal if he starts. I think we beat Arsenal if he starts. And I know Arsenal fans won't like that, and I'm not disrespecting you. I hope you win the league. You're the best team in the league. But that's how good I personally believe Casemiro is for Man United. I think if you start Casemiro against Arsenal, we win. I think he's so good. And it's scary what we'd be without him. But we've got him, so let's just enjoy it. Thanks everyone for watching. It's a Sunday, bloody Sunday. It's Sunday, so what happens on a Sunday? Well, there's no bloody football, is there? So I think I'll do the United Stand show at 7 tonight, because it's a Sunday show and it's a long wait till 8 o'clock. So I think I'll do United Stand live at 7. Obviously, if anything happens in between, we'll go live. I'd love it if we did some transfer business, but I don't know whether we will. Please do smash a like on the video. The link for tickets to the tour are still available. It's in the video description. I don't know how many tickets are left. I know Dublin's sold out. We don't, the ticket people don't work the weekends, so we don't get the numbers on what's left until tomorrow. But there should be some available. Manchester and London dates still have tickets available, I think. Links in the video description. I can't wait for this show. I'm going to have to start cutting it down. I've been writing so much stuff about what we're going to do on the show. Interactive stuff. It's going to be great. I think we'll have a really good night. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all a little bit later. Cracking show. I think the message is, with Eriksen out for God knows how long, the club have got to do something in the next 2 days. If they don't, I don't know what we'll do. Let me just get rid of Gavin. Poor old Gavin on a Sunday morning, coming on the United Stand chat, being negative. It must be horrible to live in your head, Gavin. So full of hate. And you know what? I said it on Instagram yesterday. Actually, Gavin's just reminded me of something positive. I saw somebody on Instagram said they'd read all their Twitter replies and it was all negative and they got really down. And I sent them a message, and I'm sending the same message to you. I said, look, there's always going to be people who don't like you. There's always going to be haters out there. How horrible it must be to live in their head. Imagine living in the head of somebody who goes on Twitter or social media to slag somebody off constantly, and why do people watch this? Oh, he's a this, that, and the other. I mean, think about it. I wake up in the morning, have a shower, have a cup of coffee, have my bowl of porridge, do my show, and interact with friends and family. And sometimes I get down because I do sometimes suffer with depression and stuff. I think we all do. But I don't wake up in the morning, log on and go, I can't stand Gary Neville. I can't stand Gary Lineker. That must be a horrible place to be in, where your life is so crap that you despise people you've never met because they have a different opinion to you. So my message to you and the community that we've built is, we're going to take this show on tour, and I'm really excited about it. When you get a couple of events at Dublin sell out in 24 hours twice, That's really great. That is really great. But what does it show you? It shows you that nice people enjoy what you do. And that you might be down the pub or going for a meal today and you might crack a joke and people laugh. And those nice people appreciate and like you. There's a message there. Do not focus on the haters, because their life is not a good life to live because they're full of hate. Focus on the good people, the nice people that like you and like what you do, because that's the positive. We're here for a good time, not a long time. Don't waste your time on haters. You'll find somebody somewhere saying something absolutely vile about you. They are insignificant. Don't get pulled down to their level. They are completely insignificant. The fact that they say those things exposes what they are. And they've got to live in that head. Live in the positive space. Live with the nice people. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Really appreciate it. And speak to you all in a bit.